Hey there, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Billy Love Gaming Reviews, the channel where horror meets heart, and books meet blood. I'm Billy, your ghoul next door, and today we are cracking open a fresh, sticky slasher tale that grabbed me by the throat and did not let go. This is my full review of I Was a Teenage Slasher by the master of modern horror himself, Stephen Graham Jones. And let me tell you, it's not just a book, it's a trauma ride dressed like a horror movie. It's a slow, spiraling descent into identity, pain, and the ways society creates its own monsters. Buckle up, grab your emotional support beverage, and don't forget our horror hangout continues 24/7 over on Discord. Join the fam, you won't regret it. From the title, you expect this book to lean into every classic slasher trope, and it does, but what caught me off guard is how raw, grounded, and painfully real it feels. This isn't just gore for gore's sake, it's a deep, aching exploration of identity, isolation, and the dangerous pressure of not fitting into the mold society demands. We meet Tully Driver, a teenage horror fan whose world is steeped in pain, memory, and mystery. There's been a history of violence in his town, and that history is still very much alive. Right from the jump, we feel the unease. The dread builds like a slow, haunting melody, and the horror isn't just from masked killers, it's from what lives inside people. Including Tully. It starts small, quiet moments of alienation, of being misunderstood and feared. Jones paints Tully's internal world with such nuance, you feel like you're living in his skin. You feel his ache to be normal, his fear of what might be lurking in his own blood, his body, his future. And the slasher tropes, they're not for cheap thrills. They're metaphors for the psychological horror of growing up in a world that tells you you're wrong just for existing. The way Tully is treated by adults, peers, and even friends creates this quiet, constant sense of dread. It's like you're waiting for something to snap, and when it does, it's not an explosion, it's a tragic transformation. What makes this story sing is its emotional depth. It's about being a teenager in a world that sees you as a threat or a weirdo. It's about carrying your trauma like a second skin and wondering if that makes you dangerous. The slasher framework is the metaphor, not the message. Stephen Graham Jones masterfully blurs the lines between victim and villain. You feel Tully's pain, his disconnection, his hunger to belong, even if that means becoming the thing everyone already assumes he is. That's such a powerful and heartbreaking message for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider. There's this aching question running through the entire book: is Tully doomed, or does he choose this path? And honestly, that ambiguity is what makes it hit so hard. You want to save him, hug him, scream at him, and that means the story's doing its job. The book also asks tough questions about how society handles mental health, bullying, and the way trauma is inherited through families and communities. It's not just a horror story, it's a story about why people break, and whether they can be fixed. Tully's journey is a scream into the void, asking, if no one ever believed in me, what reason do I have not to become the monster? Jones is showing us that horror isn't always about monsters in the woods. Sometimes, it's about the monsters we become when no one believes in the good inside us. The pacing is slow in the best way, it lets the unease build until it's unbearable. The setting is vividly drawn: small town claustrophobia, school hallways that feel like prison cells, empty streets buzzing with dread. Every moment feels like it could snap. You're constantly on edge. And the violence, when it comes, it hurts. It's fast, dirty, and never cartoonish. You feel every slice. It's intimate, not spectacle. Tully's descent isn't glamorized, it's shown as messy, chaotic, and tragic. Jones's prose is sharp, poetic, and rich with subtext. Every chapter is laced with references, emotional tension, and layers to unpack. There are moments where a single sentence will stop you in your tracks because it's that powerful. There's something cinematic about it, but it's also deeply literary. And shout out to the slasher references. If you love old school horror, Freddy, Jason, Ghostface, this book is full of nods that never feel cheap. It's like SGJ is winking at you through the blood splatter. But it's never just homage, it's interrogation. What do these stories mean? Who gets to be the final girl? Who gets left behind? Who never even got to play the hero to begin with? If you're a horror fan, read this. If you love finding mirrors in messy, misunderstood characters, read this. If you've ever felt alone, or angry, or just not okay, and wanted a story that sees that, yeah, read this. This isn't just for horror lovers. It's for anyone who's ever wondered what would happen if the pain inside them started leaking out in ways they couldn't control. For anyone who's ever been told they're too much, or too weird, this book says, you're not alone. It's a mirror for the misunderstood and a challenge to the comfortable. It's horror with a beating heart. It's a shout into the darkness for those who never saw themselves in the heroes of the stories. It's catharsis disguised as carnage. Tully is the kind of protagonist we rarely get, flawed, fractured, and real. You might not agree with what he becomes, but you'll understand why. And that empathy, that's the real horror magic. My rating, a bloodstained, full-hearted 4.8 out of 5. The only reason it's not a perfect 5. Maybe a few moments drag, but honestly, the emotional payoff. Worth it. This is horror that hugs you and cuts you at the same time. It sticks with you. It lingers. It asks questions long after the blood dries. It's a story that challenges you not just to be scared but to feel. And I can't stop thinking about it. Okay, we're diving into spoilers now, so if you haven't read the book, seriously go grab it, experience it for yourself, and come back. For the rest of you twisted souls, let's talk about what really went down. So when Tully becomes the slasher, it's not a twist. It's a slow descent. We're watching him unravel, page by page, and it's agonizing. He doesn't turn evil, he turns broken. And in that brokenness, he finds power, horrible, violent power. And the way SGJ frames it, not as a cool transformation, but a loss of self. The scene where he realizes he's being watched by others, as if he's the movie now. Chills. It's not glorifying the violence, it's asking what society creates when it bullies, isolates, and refuses to see people. That final act, where the mask becomes less a costume and more an identity. It's so sad, because you know, deep down, that Tully just wanted to be seen and loved. And instead, he becomes legend. A cautionary tale, a ghost story whispered about by kids who never knew the boy behind the mask. That confrontation near the end where he's given a choice to stop or continue isn't a typical hero moment. It's a moment of pain, reflection, and ultimate heartbreak. He doesn't get redemption, he gets mythologized. And there's something truly chilling about that. SGJ doesn't give us a clean ending because trauma doesn't end clean. But he gives us truth. Painful, resonant, unforgettable truth. This book hit me hard. As a horror fan, I love the craft. As someone who knows what it's like to wrestle with identity, trauma, and being misunderstood, Tully's story stayed with me. Let me know in the comments, did you sympathize with Tully? Was the ending redemption, damnation, or something in between? Did you see yourself in him, even a little? Because I think many of us can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a horror-loving friend. And come spill all your spoiler thoughts over on our Discord. That's where the real tea flows. This has been Billy. This is Billy Love Gaming Reviews, and as always, stay spooky and keep on gaming.